Welcome to the Perry Health Pulse podcast, a program dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of healthcare, sharing firsthand knowledge from healthcare professionals, and putting you in the driver's seat on your journey to lifelong health and wellness. Listen and learn about how healthcare delivery is changing on our weekly podcast.
Happy Thanksgiving. Well, not quite, but this week. That's coming up this week, so we want to do an episode related to Thanksgiving, eating habits related to it, and how to get through that huge meal. So we're bringing back Elyse Boroski. It's been a while since she's been here.
It has been. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. She's one of Perry's registered dietitians, does nutrition therapy with patients, and she's going to help talk about how to enjoy the Thanksgiving meal but not overdo it. Welcome. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
All right, first things first, making that turkey on Thanksgiving, there's a whole bunch of different ways to make it, but probably the biggest thing is you get a big frozen turkey. How do you thaw it safely?
Yeah, food safety is one of the most important things when we're talking about the holiday meals. We don't want to be the one responsible for making our family members sick. But the first thing and foremost, it's always important, whether it's Thanksgiving or any meal, washing your hands, especially during this time of the year. It's cold and flu season, so we don't want to get ourselves sick or anybody else sick. So we just want to make sure that we're washing our hands in warm soapy water before and after handling any raw meats. And when you're washing your hands, just make sure to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. And don't forget to get in between your fingers and under your nails or anything like that. But one little quick tip is to sing happy birthday to yourself 2 times, and that should be about 20 seconds. So, like I said, that's probably the most important thing to remember when we're talking about food safety. But for thawing our turkeys for whatever meal it might be, Thanksgiving or any other meal, there's just some things that we want to know. Thawing on the countertop, we want to avoid that at all costs because we're just asking bacteria to grow, and we don't want that in our turkey. We want other good things with our turkey, not bacteria. So how we can thaw our turkey safely is you can thaw it in the fridge. So if we're thawing it in the fridge, you want to allow 24 hours for every 5 pounds of turkey. So you want to know how heavy your turkey is probably a week before Thanksgiving, because you don't want it to be the night before and realize that you have a 10-pound turkey and you're not going to have enough time to thaw it. So that's one good tip to remember, knowing how heavy your turkey is, and every 5 pounds allow 24 hours in the fridge to thaw. Remember, thawing in the fridge, thaw it on the bottom shelf and on a tray or something where the juices won't leak out, because again, those juices are going to have those bacteria that can be very harmful, and we don't want it to mix with any ready-to-eat foods that you're going to have that you're not going to cook and kill off those bacteria. So that would be another big tip to have. And then if you choose not to thaw it in the fridge, there's another way you can thaw it is in cold water. So that would be having a running tap and a bucket where you want to have the turkey completely covered with water and it being cold water, but you want to change that water every 30 minutes until it's completely thawed.
And for somebody like me who doesn't plan well ahead, that would probably be the way I end up doing it last minute. All right. Growing up, stuffing I've never had it made in a turkey. So it was always kind of confusing to me why it was called stuffing. Now that I'm an adult, I understand why it's called stuffing. What's the safest way to cook stuffing then?
As you said, stuffing is known for stuffing because you stuff it in the turkey and bake it that way. But the safest way to cook it is to cook it outside of the turkey. That way we ensure that it's reaching the proper temperature. So we're talking about stuffing, we want it to reach at least 165 degrees of an internal temperature. When we cook it inside the turkey, we're risking not getting it up to that proper temperature. And then also, if you're not cooking your turkey well enough, even if the stuffing is at the proper temperature, you might be cross-contaminating with the bird itself. So safest bet, cook your stuffing outside of the turkey.
Well, now on that note of cooking temperatures, is there a safe temperature for cooking the turkey that the turkey should actually get to?
From the resources that I've been looking at, the safest cooking temperature for a turkey is when the thickest part of the thigh muscle, so we want to make sure we're not touching the bone, but when you insert your thermometer, it should read 180 degrees.
Once the meal is over and the turkey, what's left of the turkey is laying there, how long should it be before that needs to be put in the fridge?
You want to make sure that you put it at least in the fridge within 2 hours after roasting, after you're done roasting. Unfortunately, my husband experienced a case of food poisoning. He doesn't have a sense of smell, so he couldn't tell that the turkey had gone bad, and turkey's his favorite meal, and he had some nibbles a few hours after the turkey dinner, and he ended up getting food poisoning from it. So,
and that's not the way you want to spend your Thanksgiving. You want to enjoy the food in one direction.
Right, yeah. So 2 hours after roasting, you want to make sure that you're at least putting it in the temperature. And when we're doing that, just putting it in the fridge, that is not the temperature, but once we put it in the fridge, we want to make sure that it gets down to at least 41 degrees within 2 hours. So spreading it out, putting it into shallow pans will help it reach that temperature much quicker than if you have just the whole turkey in there by itself.
If you cut it up into those pieces and put it into containers to eat later, that's probably help spread that out then.
Exactly.
Now let's get into kind of the meal overall and some of the most difficult part of Thanksgiving, which is portion control. What's the typical meal and some of the calories that we might be getting from those foods?
You might see a turkey dinner with skin, and a conservative portion is about 3.5 ounces, so just about the size of your palm. Half cup of stuffing, 1 crescent roll with butter, 1 slice of pecan pie. Let's say you have some broccoli with some cheese sauce on it, and cranberry relish. This alone, that one meal, might equate to about 1,400 calories. So that's almost as many calories that one individual might need an entire day. That's just one meal. So yes, we want to enjoy these things, but there are some things that we can do to enjoy them, but reduce some of that the caloric intake that we have. What we can do is you can remove the skin from the turkey. That alone can reduce quite a bit of calories. Having a smaller portion of your stuffing. Go ahead and have that crescent roll with the butter if you'd like, but be careful of how much butter you're putting on. 1 tablespoon of butter is 100 calories. So if you're putting on a quite a big slab, that can add up really quick too. So just be mindful of how much you're having. Same thing with the slice of your pies, and pecan pie is really popular, pumpkin pie, apple pie, all of those pies have quite a bit of calories, but maybe a smaller portion. So pie might be cut into eighths, maybe try cutting it into 16ths. So cutting.
Well, that's no fun.
But you're getting so many other desserts with it too. So it's just about still enjoying it. We don't want to eliminate any foods. Obviously, Thanksgiving, part of the tradition is the meal. So we want to enjoy that as well, but just being mindful of how much we're actually putting on our plate and consuming. Another trick you can do is scan the goods before you eat. So check out what's being served. What do you really want to put on your plate? So a lot of times the dinners are buffet style. So if you have your plate and you ever traditionally go to a buffet, a lot of people, oh, that looks good, throw some on. That looks good, throw some on. By the time you get to the end of the buffet, your plate is heaping and you don't have room for the dinner roll and what other extras may be there. But if you scan ahead, you kind of have a better idea of what you want to throw on your plate and how much you want to throw on your plate so that you're able to enjoy all the different foods that you're looking at and craving.
And with the buffet style, it's really easy to go through and just take certain things, fill up your plate, and say, I'm going to go back for the rest of it. And then you end up having kind of a second meal just from the stuff you missed the first time, and it just adds a lot right there.
Right. So another trick you can do is try and, like you said, fill in your plate once, but just being mindful of the portion and giving yourself at least 20 minutes before you go up for seconds, because it takes 20 minutes for our brain to communicate with our stomach to let us know that we're full. So oftentimes we associate being overstuffed, not just the turkey, but us ourselves being stuffed after our meal. So if we give our brain enough time to tell us that we're full, that might help reduce some of how much you're consuming and how much you put back on your plate for when you're going back for your seconds.
Let's pause for just a moment to thank our sponsors.
Sometimes we don't notice how much our parents have aged until we come home for the holidays. All of a sudden, Mom is having trouble getting dressed and managing her medications. Perry Home Care, with its team of skilled nurses and therapists, can help keep your mom safe in her own home and get her health back on track. Talk to your mom about scheduling an evaluation with her primary care provider. Visit perrymemorial.org/homecare or call 815-875-4114 to learn more.
Are there any foods that you'd recommend just not eating at all at Thanksgiving, that they add too much to the calories that you're getting?
You might be surprised, but no food is off limits. I want you to enjoy your meal. I want you to enjoy Thanksgiving. I don't want anybody to be too concerned with, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that. It comes down to the portion. So again, we're talking about that pie. Let's say we're talking about pumpkin pie with the whipped cream, or like maybe you got some other sauces on there. It's fine to have it, instead of having that huge portion, maybe cut it in half what you would normally have, and listen to your hunger scale and your hunger cues. Am I still hungry after that? Am I still really enjoying it? If you still want more, go ahead and enjoy it.
I'm sure a lot of people are looking at that meal and looking at the foods that contain fruits or vegetables and thinking, as long as those are in it, this is a healthy part of the meal. So they kind of load up on those things. And what's the truth about that?
So yeah, that can be a little tricky. So yeah, it has fruits or it has vegetables, but by the time you add all these extra sauces, cheese sauce or sweetened sugary sauces, that adds a lot of calories right there too. So yes, you're getting the nutrition from those fruits and vegetables, but you're also adding on these extras. So again, be mindful, enjoy it, but maybe have a smaller portion of that.
I think we've all had the cheesy potatoes where it's more cheese than potatoes.
Yeah,
So,
right. Be realistic about what you're having.
again, one of the hardest parts is just the overeating, getting that stuffed feeling afterwards, and you're just so in the moment of enjoying the food that's just very inevitable for a lot of people. What tips do you have to help people avoid feeling so stuffed and overeating?
Again, you heard me mention the hunger scale. What the hunger scale is, it's just getting back down to the basics of listening to your body and listening to, am I really truly hungry? Why am I eating? Is my stomach telling me, is it grumbling? And I can feel those gastric juices rumbling and burning. Then yes, you're hungry, you want to eat. So paying attention to that. Again, the 20-minute rule, before you go back for seconds, give yourself 20 minutes for your brain to communicate with your stomach to tell you if it's full or not. Also, we want to think about slowing down how quickly we eat our meals. We tend to get excited about all the different goodies that we get at Thanksgiving or the holidays that we don't always get. Just take your time to enjoy it. Think about the flavor, the texture, the smells. It sounds really corny, but that can really help you just add to the experience, as well as help you slow down and not consume as much.
Well, and I know there's a tool you use called the My Plate, and on the webpage for this episode, I'll go ahead and put an image of that and link to it so that people can get a visual. But can you go and describe what the My Plate is?
Yeah, the My Plate, thank you for mentioning that. The My Plate has our 5 different food groups. So we're talking about our grains, vegetables, fruits, proteins, and dairies. If we try to focus on making our meal resemble the My Plate as much as possible, so having a portion of each of those food groups, that by itself is going to help you feel full quicker, because you're going to get the fiber from the fruits and vegetables. You're going to get the protein, which both of those combined are going to help you feel full. And then also you know you're doing your body good by getting all the different nutrients from the different food groups.
Now, for families who are wanting to make that Thanksgiving meal healthier but don't want to go all the way to the tofu turkey or things like that, they want to have something that tastes good, is just a little bit healthier than what they're used to, what are some recommendations you'd have?
So as I was saying, I really want you all to enjoy your meal, and I don't want you to feel like you have to sacrifice enjoying your Thanksgiving dinner. Some things that you can do to still enjoy that meal without compromising the taste is you can eliminate the skin on your turkey. That alone is going to reduce how much saturated fat, which is that unhealthy fat, and calories from your meal. You can have a rice pilaf instead of stuffing. So some people don't even enjoy stuffing, so this is an alternative for you. The wild rice has a lot of fiber in it. It's a whole grain, so that's also going to help you feel full longer. If you don't want to give up the stuffing, try using whole wheat bread. Again, that's going to add that extra fiber, and using low sodium chicken broth, so that'll help reduce some of the sodium. If you're the one cooking, allow your guests to season their own vegetables or fruits as they please. So this allows for better control over how much butter or cheese sauce or other seasonings are added. Again, choosing that whole grain versus the white grain. So a whole grain roll versus a white roll. That's going to give you that extra fiber, which will help you feel full longer. It'll help you digest that Thanksgiving dinner as well. And then also, if you don't have any of these options, let's say there's the skin on the turkey, you don't have the whole wheat stuffing or the rice pilaf, or the vegetables and stuff are already seasoned, just choosing smaller portions, that's going to help you out.
Now, what about gravy? Does that add a lot of calories to the meal as well?
It does. So we're talking about all of those sauces and everything. Gravy is one of the sauces I'm talking about, but I love gravy. I have to have gravy on my mashed potatoes. I would be really sad if someone told me I couldn't have it. So again, when we're talking about this, just being, just throwing a little bit on, enough that you enjoy the flavor of the gravy with the mashed potatoes, but not going overboard with it.
All right. Lastly, I want to ask the most important question of all, something that everyone talks about, and I have no idea if it's true. Does turkey actually make you sleepy?
Well, there is this amino acid, it's called tryptophan, and that's what we're talking about usually when we're talking about turkey and why it makes you sleepy. But really, it's because we overeat. It's not really the turkey or the tryptophan that's making us sleepy. It's just generally all of our body's working so hard on digesting that huge meal we just ate, and that's what's making us tired.
All right, so even you families who are out there scared of getting tired from the turkey, who are eating ham for this Thanksgiving, if you overeat, you're still going to get tired. So even better reason to manage that portion control and try and eat healthy and still enjoy the meal as much as you can. I'll go ahead and add, like I said, the MyPlate and some other resources. Those are going to be linked on the webpage for this. Anyone listening who wants to go to www.perrymemorial.org/podcast, you can find this episode. Take a look at those resources, get a recap of the episode. You can listen to it, share it with others, and then take a look at the MyPlate and other resources that are posted there. And have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us, Elyse.
Thank you.
It doesn't stop here. Access other podcast episodes and resources related to today's episode by visiting www.perrymemorial.org/podcast.